Welcome to the WakeCon Show, where we discuss housing economics and the economic forces shaping our communities. This is powered by Professor Lending, which is based in Wake Forest, North Carolina. Hence, Wake and Econ together get you WakeCon. I am your licensed loan originator, president of Professor Lending, and your mortgage professor or housing economics professor. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the generic topic of should you refinance now or wait? And, I get questions about this all the time. Is this the right time? Is now the right time? And I feel like I have to repeat myself every 6 months or so, given where the market is. But I'm going to try to create an evergreen resource here. So no matter when you're watching this, you can have the tools and resources to understand, does it make financial sense to refinance where I'm currently at? So irrespective of the interest rate market, which is always changing, the landscape's always changing, hopefully you can have the resources and tools to make sense of the best decision for you, your family, and your future. Before I jump in, as a reminder, like the video if you enjoyed the content, if it was useful, helpful in any way, and then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Try to do some interviews about economics, and then we also have just regular content like this that sort of goes over basic housing economic things and other things that are shaping and impacting our communities. So, as a reminder, I actually do have a lot of resources on this. Like I mentioned, there's an essay on my website on should you refinance now or wait. There's stuff on my Substack, so you can subscribe to that. But really, the main point is, depending on what your interest rate is, my golden rule of refinancing is if you can save enough money to break even after 12 months, you should refinance. Period. End of story. What that number is to break even, it could be $100 for you a month. It could be $200 a month for you. It could be $300 a month for you. I'm assuming it's probably going to be in that $150 to $200 range, and it's going to make sense. And I'm going to go over mathematically why it makes sense and how you should do this. There's a lot of people out there who think I should wait to refinance until I save $500 or $600. It's shocking to me how many people I talk to that are in this bucket. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I want to save $500, or I think the market's going to go in my favor. I'm recording this now in 2026. I talked to someone multiple times in February and March of 2026 saying, hey, now's the time you can save $400 a month. I don't think you should risk it. And guess what? The market now is significantly worse. And so they lost a lot of money. And I'm going to go over all the potential risks of not refinancing when the time is right, which, again, the golden rule of refinancing. Can you break even after 12 months? It's absolutely the right call. Does it take 24 months to break even? Let's talk and strategize. Talk to a licensed loan originator to make sure it makes sense for you financially for your goals. Like, do you plan to move? Do you plan to need to pull equity out of the house? Whatever that may be. Like, what are your current objectives, current goals? And if it's under 24 months, it's probably still advantageous, but you want to talk through it and make sure you're making the right decision. If it takes 3, 4, 5 years, no, let's pause, let's hold, let's wait. So typically, when you think about refinancing, it's actually very simple. You're going to go through it, you fill out an application. In most cases, in a lot of cases, you'll probably need an appraisal. If you have a lot of equity in the house, you probably won't, but it's case by case, depending on your market, depending on your equity position, depending on your credit profile. All these things can make an influence on this. You have to pay for a settlement agent, closing attorney to do this stuff, but there's been a lot of stuff recently coming out where it's streamlining this and making it cheaper. You have to create a new escrow account, which costs money, but in my mind, that's a wash because you're going to get a refund of your old escrow account when you refinance. So it's not really like you're paying a fee. It's just pay it up here and then you get the money back. And you can always increase the loan amount to cover that. So you can do a refinance, bring zero cash to close, 100%, no problem, no issues there. Let's see. Other costs and other fees. You'd have to pay for a credit report, which unfortunately get more expensive every single year because the credit companies are killing us. I don't like the credit fees being as high as they are either. I promise that that's not me. That is the credit companies. Who is that? Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, trying to make as much money as they can. So let's just go through a couple of things. I guess I've already gone through a couple of things. One is a reminder of the rules. So I'm going to show you on my screen here. I've got this awesome calculator that I built at my website. So if you're like, I want to play with the real numbers, I don't want to talk to somebody yet. And I get it. A lot of people are like, I don't want to talk to somebody until I'm ready to go. And I'm not ready to go until I can see it for myself. So let me just share my screen and you can watch me do this. All right, let's check out my website here. So if you land on my homepage, I got a bunch of cool things. If you click the resources, there is a calculator tab, which gives you all these cool calculators that I've built that cover a whole lot more than any calculator you're going to find on the internet. You go to Bankrate or any other place, those are the weakest calculators you're going to find. They don't cover all the stuff that's important. They don't give you a breakdown and explanation of different things, and they're always trying to steal your data. So you come here, we're not stealing your data. It's totally free, no login, nothing like that. And it gives you really comprehensive stuff. There's one for monthly payment, buy down. There's also this one for refinance. Very simple, very easy to come in here and see and know what you're supposed to do here. So let's say, yes, your current balance is $350,000. Let's say your interest rate's actually 7.5. Let's say your new rate is 6.5, just to give you the true breakdown here. And then let's say your closing costs are actually only like $2,500. It's going to tell you your monthly payment change is $310 a month. Awesome. Your cash flow just increased. You now save $310 a month, which for most people, that's where it stops. But there's also these lifetime interest savings that I've got in here that is actually going to calculate the loss that you have from resetting your amortization. So the way an amortization schedule basically works, and this is true for all mortgage loans, you're paying a lot more interest at the beginning than you are at the end. You're paying a lot less principal at the beginning than you are at the end. So what this does is it captures the fact that you were paying more principal at year 27 than you are year 30. So the lifetime interest savings can be a little bit different here. So your monthly payment goes down by $310. Your lifetime interest savings here, since you're resetting the clock back to 30 years, in this case, is going to be about $21,000. You're going to break even after about 8 months. Now, there is a complete refinance guide I've got in here that gives some more explanation on different things, gives you a full breakdown, has the same sort of calculator here. But there's additional information about, the 12-month rule that I've given, the cost of waiting, because here's the cost that I can't really put into this calculator. The cost is this. Let's say you can refinance today to 6.5 and you can save that, but you're like, oh man, I really want to wait till I can do 6.25 to be there, or 6. Say that $400 a month. Now I just tripled my savings. What I can't capture accurately in this calculator, and maybe I should, is what if I wait 2 years or 3 years versus it. That would be an interesting thing to add. Maybe I'll think about adding that in the future. Because what happens here is if you wait 6 months or a year to refinance, you've just lost, in this case, $300 to $400 of savings every single month when you do this. And I think I wrote this in a Substack of mine, and I'll probably try to put that in here so you can see it. But it comes down to the fact that there's a huge opportunity cost that you can lose when you do this. If you wait 6 months, you just lost whatever that number is. I don't know, $10,000. Let me pull out my calculator. Let's say you save $300 a month. You wait an extra 9 months. That's $2,700 you could have saved. The time it takes for you to make that money back, even if you refinance at a lower interest rate, let's say 6 instead of 6.25 or 6.5, it's probably going to take you 5, 6, 7 years to actually capture that savings back that you lost while you were waiting. And so that's the real opportunity cost that comes with waiting on refinancing. When you hit that 12-month window, that's when it's definite go time. In my opinion, 100% of the time, that's go time, unless you have 15 to 20 years left on your term. But that's when you just refinance into a shorter term, a 15-year term, a 20-year term. So let's say you've got 20 years left on this. See, obviously, in this case, you're paying a lot more interest because you just reset to a 30-year. But let's say you refinanced into a 20-year, flips it, you just saved $75,000. So it's just a math game. It really is. You can roll the closing costs in here, and you can see the break even points and the lifetime interest and all this stuff. It's really a simple math game. So again, like if you wait to refinance, it's probably going to take you 2, 3, 4 years to catch up to what you could have saved by refinancing immediately. So there's just this opportunity cost window. The sooner you refinance, the sooner you start saving money and actually paying down more principal and getting further down that amortization schedule than if you wait. So a lot of people think, "Oh, I'll wait to save an extra quarter point or an extra half point or whatever it is," and it's actually not financially advantageous. I know. You just do the math here. It's very simple, but if you talk to a licensed loan originator, you can kind of work through these things. And I get it. You don't want to go to these salesy people that are trying to just sell you to make a buck. You want to talk to somebody who actually has your best interest in mind and can say, "No, it doesn't make sense right now, but I'm telling you, my rule here, the 12-month rule, is pretty invaluable. It's almost always accurate." So let's keep this also in mind. When you think about when does it make sense to refinance, you want to look at the things of the you want to look at larger economic trends like the 10-year treasury yield. That's really the benchmark for where mortgage interest rates are. So you may be looking at the news and saying, "Oh, the Fed, they're raising rates or they're cutting rates." That doesn't necessarily mean it's time to refinance or not time to refinance. Because mortgage rates are on the longer end of the yield curve rather than this really short-term interest rate that the Fed sets, it can function independently of what that's doing. Additionally, the market often prices in their expectations well in advance of what the Fed's going to do. And so when the Fed actually announces what they're going to do, the market may have already shifted towards, actually, you may have cut rates, but we think you're going to raise them next time based on what you just said here. And so the market's actually going to swing up. Or conversely, it could swing down based on certain factors and communication elements and different things like that. So my moral of the story is, don't wait for the right time. You need to strategize with someone who has your best interests in mind. They need to have your information so that they can run your scenario every single day to tell you, "This is the time to save money. Let's do it now." And you can repeat this process over and over. There is no you can refinance 10 times. It's fine. No one's going to stop you as long as you have a job and as long as your credit isn't all the way at the bottom, you're going to usually be okay to refinance. Obviously, it's subject to standard qualifications, but for the most part, it's a very standardized process. And if you have a VA loan, then you can have a streamlined process, no appraisal, no credit, no hard credit pull, no income verification. It's incredible what you can do with certain loan products and the streamlined nature of them. So again, should you refinance now or wait? My suggestion is, depending on what your interest rate is and depending on what the market rate is right now, it's probably time to consider thinking about it. Unless your interest rate's 3 or 4%, it may well be time to consider refinancing right now. But you need to talk to somebody who's licensed and understands the market and understands your scenario to see the actual numbers. You can go to my website, you can play with them all day, but you should talk to somebody like me or somebody else that's a trusted resource that can give you the advice that you need and say, "No, it's not that time yet." What I do for all my clients is I literally plug in their information in my system and it runs the pricing every day. And as soon as it hits the target rate, I get a notification and I tell them, "Hey, it's time to save some money. Let's do it." Easy win-win. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I just set up the goal. Here's our goal. We want to save X amount because that's when it makes sense. And we wait. until that time comes. It's amazing what these things, technology can do. Anyway, you can find a bunch more resources of mine on refinancing. You can find a lot of stuff on the YouTube channel here, on my website, and on my Substack as well, where I post irregularly different economic updates and tips and ideas and things. But most people like you're probably just, when can I save some money? And I don't know until I see your scenario, but you can play with the calculator. That can give you a preliminary estimate on what things are at. And then you can talk to somebody like me. I've got a simple quote inquiry. You can just plug in literally 10 things. You don't have to put in all your information. I can give you a pretty accurate quote based on what you've put in there. And then we can kind of go from there if it makes sense, or if we just want to wait until it does make sense. So let me know. I'm happy to help you, and I appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of Professor Lending. Not Professor Lending, The WakeCon Show. Sorry, I am with Professor Lending. Anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to talking with you guys soon.